I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. Truly, I appreciate you all. I do want to make a programming note. We are going to start with the testimony of Christine's father. So that is the wife, the victim in this case. Her father testified as, I believe, the state's last witness before the state rested their case. And I haven't been able to see it yet. So we are going to take a look at that together. Please be sure to check out Natalie Lawyerchick did a great job covering this, just some of the legal aspects and just her thoughts on the defense. And I really appreciate her perspective as a defense attorney. And so she talked about it. There have been other people. I watched pieces of Emily D. Baker today. She covered it. I was over in Grizzly True Crimes chat. I was in Paul from Reporting Live from My Sofa. I was in his chat. And so we are going to watch the dad's testimony first. And then we are going to play my time on Paul Reporting Live from My Sofa. We will watch that second. Okay. And thank you to anyone lurking in the background. Let me get things settled. And for anybody that's new here, I go back and forth between if I'm small in the corner, we are just watching testimony. If I make myself big, here we go. When I make myself big like this, I'm giving commentary. So for anybody watching on replay, if you've already seen this testimony, you can look for when I'm big like this, and that's when I am interrupting. If you would like to see this video with no interruptions, feel free to check out Court TV's live feed from today. All right, let's go ahead and play. So this is Gary. Y'all know me in names. But he just stated his name, and he is Christine's father. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Who was Christine Banfield married to?
Brendan.
Do you recall when they were married?
Yes, they were married in June 12th of 2010.
Okay. Did they have a daughter?
Yes, and her name is Valerie Ava.
All right. And when was Valerie born? Do you recall that day?
March 30th, 2018.
Thank you. Were you present for her birth?
Absolutely.
All right. Where did that occur?
It happened at the hospital in New York, Good Samaritan Hospital.
All right. Remembering Christine's childhood, did you observe any medical symptoms that gave you concern?
Yes, several bruising, bloody noses.
Were they more than the average child's experience?
Yes, yeah, it was a concern to a pediatrician as well.
I'm sorry, I'm going to object about medical testimony.
Objecting to medical testimony.
Your Honor, at this point in time, he hasn't testified to medical
Okay,
information.
I'll rule objection at this point.
Thank you. Tell me about the nosebleeds. What
They
did you
were,
observe?
they were frequent and very hard to stop. So the doctor was why we brought it to the doctor to go over that reasoning.
All right. Did you have to do anything to help her with these nosebleeds and bruising?
Well, yeah, we would do normal, put ice packs on the back of her head, keep her elevated so that, until it stopped, which was prolonged. Took quite a long time for them to stop.
And after these experiences, did you seek help of a medical professional?
Yes, we took her back to the pediatrician who suggested that she be tested by
Without telling us what the pediatrician told you.
Oh, you just asked me what I did.
I
I'm sorry.
understand. So let me ask you
Okay.
that question. What did you do?
We took her to the doctor.
Okay. Did you take her to just one doctor?
No,
Okay. How many doctors did you take her to?
my recollection too.
All right. And after taking her to these doctors, did you form an understanding of why Christine bruised easily and her nosebleeds were difficult to stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, I'm going to object. That's informed by the medical professor
All right.
who we should have here if we're going to.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection unless you have a different.
Yeah, Judge, if the
foundation.
objection is hearsay, there's an exception. If the objection is foundation, we can go farther into how he formed his understanding.
What's your exception to hearsay?
Sure, Judge.
If you want to approach. You can approach.
We get to fast forward past the sidebar.
As a result of Christine's easy bruising and nosebleeds, did she need to take any precautions?
Did she take any precautions? Well, as a parent, we took precautions to safeguard. When she rode a bike, she had to wear a helmet, knee pads, hand pads. Same thing with rollerblading. She was one that when she was little, she liked to do all that stuff, but we restricted her from doing that because of all the injuries that she was getting like that. And so, that continued for quite some time, keeping a close eye on her.
Did you provide her with any medication to take?
So I'm gonna pause for a second. So I think what they are getting at, the reason why the state called this witness is because, let's say Christine had some type of medical condition where she bruised easily and that she would not willingly subject herself to what the defense wants to claim, that Christine was the one that reached out to Joe Ryan. So I think this is to further say, like, there's no way Christine would be the one to reach out about this. And I think that's why the defense is objecting as well. I don't think they want this testimony or those aspects of this testimony to come in, which, all right, we'll keep it going.
She didn't take anything on a regular basis. There was no medication for it at the time to take on like a maintenance drug or anything like that.
I'm sorry, there was not a maintenance drug
There was no maintenance drug for what was the cause of everything.
when she was little. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Was there a treatment drug?
there was a treatment for the blood disorder, yes.
And did she receive that drug from you?
Not from me, only it was administered by a doctor.
Okay. To your knowledge, did she continue to have these issues as an adult?
Yes,
And what, if any, precautions did she have to take as an adult?
well, she always had to be cautious and not take any contact sports, anything that would prolong any kind of injury, internal or excessive bleeding would cause a problem.
When she was pregnant and due to give birth to Valerie, were you present with her
Yes,
when decisions were made
Judge, I'm
about?
sorry. I'm going to object as to the medical care aspect of this because I think we're getting into medical care.
I don't know if we are or not. I'll overrule it at this point.
When she was preparing for her delivery,
yes,
were there any precautions that she took for that event?
yes, she had to take medication.
And again, you were present during the delivery, is that correct?
I was in the hospital at the time, yes.
All right. Judge, I don't believe I have any other questions.
Sure.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Cross-examination?
One more.
Sure, yes, sir.
Yep, he's going to confer with his client. Brendan and his note taking. Yeah, I think this was to get in the jury's mind that Christine had a history of easily bruising, that she wouldn't have been the one to reach out to for that type of play. Or,
Good afternoon, Mr. Benson.
I could be wrong, but to me, I think Brendan looks a little nervous right here. I don't know that for sure because we're just watching and talking. But to me, he looks, and I haven't seen him look incredibly nervous, but that's how it looks to me. Y'all let me know in the chat what you all think. Let's get into cross-examination of Christine's father.
Christine, as an adult.
Can you speak up a little bit more? I can't hear you.
Thank you. Christine, as an adult, would play kickball and volleyball, correct?
To my knowledge, she did play sports.
Okay.
Non-contact sports, yeah.
Did she take any precautions like wearing helmets or anything like that, like when she was younger?
That's
In
what
those
When she
sports?
was younger, she did. I don't know what she did as an adult when she didn't live with us.
Okay, so you weren't certain of her as an adult. How long had it been since she'd lived with you?
When she graduated college, she moved out on her own,
Okay, and so probably 15 years?
thereabouts.
Okay, and during that time, were you aware of her like competing in obstacle course type things called a mud run?
No, I'm not familiar with
Did you
it.
ever hear about it?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay, it's kind of like a obstacle course where you're jumping over fences and,
Judge, counsel's testifying objection.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next
Okay.
question.
so you haven't heard about her doing any of those sorts of things, correct?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Karen, one moment.
Sure. All right, no further questions, redirect?
Just one redirect. Mr. Benson, you were able to testify that precautions were taken at the time of Valerie's birth. Was Mr. Banfield present at Valerie's birth?
Yes, he was in the room with her.
How is that redirect?
How is that redirect? All right, I'll
It's withdrawn.
sustain the objection.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions?
that's
No, thank you.
All right, Mr. Benson, you can have a seat in the courtroom. Thank you, Mr. Benson. All right, next witness for the Commonwealth.
Judge Commonwealth rested this time.
All right, the Commonwealth rests.
Without asking Ms. Crisler, if I can take that back for just a second.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
that was fair. That was not, because I think you can only redirect something that the defense brought up, and the defense didn't bring it up. But so Brendan would know what precautions were taken for Valerie's birth. So I know for me, so I have uterine fibroids, and so because of the risk of excessive something happening that could cause issues for me. My doctor specialized in that type of care. And so I was given a medication as a precaution immediately following birth, just to make sure that there were no issues with that. Because of my personal issue, I take iron supplements. My blood clots just fine, but I wonder if there was some other type of testimony that might have come up. But welcome. We just got through the dad's testimony. I want to see, because I missed the end of court today. So I'm just going to see if there was any talk, because they probably excused the jury, and then I just want to see what happened after that. Okay, let's see what happened for the end of court, because the state rested.
I have before you a 5-count indictment that was returned on September 16th, 2024. The makeup of the indictment was designed to cover a whole series of circumstances. The 5th count was use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. In addition, there were 2 additional indictments relating to child abuse and child neglect that were then sought through direct indictment again in December. I'm moving to strike all of those charges. What we have up to this point in terms of evidence, Judge, we haven't heard a single word from a single detective that was involved in the homicide division. We haven't heard
If anyone is getting frustrated with him at this moment, please know that he's just doing what the defense is supposed to do. Every single time the defense asks for the charges to be thrown out, the defense never thinks that the state has proven their burden. Like, this is just something that the defense does. And so we will just, I think this part is interesting.
Any sort of credible evidence relating to what was espoused as a theory of catfishing for years now, and had been working toward that. In fact, you have the only person that has even suggested anything, and this is probably the third or fourth time that story has changed, is Juliana Perez Magalhaes. She's now testifying to what appears to be intended to fit right into whatever the Commonwealth's theory was regarding that, but doesn't even make it that far. She can't answer any questions with any sort of detail. In fact, without the absolute direct and oftentimes leading questions related to the Commonwealth, she wasn't able to answer a single thing. We went through in painstaking detail the numerous messages that at one point she might have said something about, but now she doesn't remember. In fact, I'm not sure her testimony is worthy of consideration, because she got to the point when I would ask questions, she would say, if you keep asking questions like that, I'm just going to tell you I don't know. And that happened numerous times, despite the fact that we patiently went through the evidence that we needed to go through in order to test and challenge her story. That story doesn't amount to, even in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth, something that's sufficient in order for these charges to go ahead. The charges themselves.
I'm going to interrupt him. That's why y'all are here. Y'all are here for the interruptions. So there might be, I don't know who is on the defense's witness list. The lead detective, the original lead detective, may be on the defense's witness list, because there was news reports. I do not, there's no testimony. So this has not come up in court yet outside of the defense's opening statement. But I did see news reporting, and I believe I shared it on the community tab, the video about my brain just went, about the lead detective thinking that Christine was the one that did the electronic communication with Joe, and the lead detective did not believe that Brendan did that. Like that is my understanding of the news reporting. We have to see what comes up in court. Okay. So that's where we will see what happens, because that person is probably on the defense's witness list. And after that person had that opinion, but it doesn't add up that it was Christine for me. It just doesn't. The whole Juliana waiting in the cul-de-sac, making sure that things didn't get caught on cameras. Like, how would Juliana know that somebody had went into the house? Like, none of that makes sense to me without it potentially being Brendan and Juliana. That's how I'm not on the jury. He is innocent until proven guilty. That's just where I see things right now. Okay. So let's go on ahead and keep this going.
Or an interesting, and I'll paraphrase essentially what needs to be shown, is that my client killed Joe Ryan after killing Christine Banfield. And the alternative, my client killed Christine Banfield after killing Joe Ryan. Then the next set of charges, which at least scream out that they're just a catch-all, is that my client killed Joe Ryan and within 3 years killed Christine Banfield. My client killed Christine Banfield and within 3 years killed Joe Ryan. We don't have any sense of what happened on that day, even in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth. There's no indication of who was killed and then who else was killed. There's no evidence to support that even in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth, under that statutory or that indictment scheme that was presented by the Commonwealth's office, as to catfish.
I'm gonna have to fast forward. I can't. He's doing what he needs to do for his client. The state is gonna have
I would simply point to the court that in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth, the been presented that Mr. Banfield shot and killed Joseph Ryan, that he stabbed his wife, Christine, that all of that was done while his 4-year-old child was left in the basement, unattended in a home where weapons were not only present but were in use, that the event in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth was in fact staged by the defendant in conjunction with the assistance of his nanny, and that at this point, I believe the evidence is sufficient to meet the standard of the court.
All right, thank you. Anything further your motion, Mr. Carroll?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. In the factors of this case, just for the record, there's 2 different numbered indictments. The indictment 2024-666 are the indictments with the 4 counts of aggravated murder and a use of a firearm. As far as the 4 counts of aggravated murder, 2 of the counts are under Virginia Code 18.231 subsection 7, and 2 of the counts are under 18.231 subsection 8. As to the evidence in this case, in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth, I do find that there is evidence that can be considered by the jury for each of the elements of aggravated murder as they are outlined in the indictments count 1, count 2, count 3, and count 4 of 2024-666. That's based on the co-defendant's testimony, crime scene testimony, blood evidence testimony, and DNA evidence testimony at this time for those 4 counts. And as shown in Virginia, the Commonwealth can indict a defendant under subsection 7 and subsection 8 for the same murders when each of them constitute murders occurred as part of the same act or transaction, or in a 3-year period. So they don't have to choose at this point during the guilt or not guilty phase as to those 4 indictments. As to count 5, the firearm, there is evidence to go forward that the defendant did use a firearm in the commission of these acts. As far as indictments under 2024-873, count 1, child endangerment, and count 2, child abuse. In these matters in Virginia, it has been found that you can put children in situations that would constitute child endangerment and child abuse. In this case, we have evidence from the co-defendant's testimony that the child was brought into the house, brought into a crime scene. And the light most favorable to the Commonwealth would be that she was there during the occurrence of the events that had happened to her mother and to Joseph Ryan. And therefore, there is evidence for child endangerment and child abuse. And it is clear in the Virginia law that you can go under both the child endangerment and child abuse institutions in the next 24 hours and maybe talk about them. And if we'll see where tomorrow goes. You have at least 3 witnesses, correct?
I have,
Could you just use the microphone? I'm sorry, I have trouble sometimes hearing.
I'll have a couple witnesses available beyond 3, so maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5
I also
tomorrow.
have evidence to introduce, Judge.
Okay,
And so and this is good that we're talking about this, is I wanted to, at some point, when it's appropriate, to introduce the first 70 exhibits.
okay, and you have them in electronic
I've
format,
given it
just
to- I've given
one
it to
file
you.
each? Okay, perfect.
Um,
Okay,
And so, but I also will want, because they didn't see it as we were going through it, I want to be able to introduce them, have a reasonable period for which they can read their sheets,
well, there's not objections, I assume.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I guess as we go through objection, but
We're
that's
gonna
what
have to
my
go through
thought is,
objections.
which could take up some time.
So would you rather do that first before your first witness?
I'm thinking that.
Well, is there any objection?
So I think they just did housekeeping stuff at the end. I don't think there's anything major determined, like the defendant, whether he's going to testify or not. They'll probably make those decisions later on. The fact that there's that 911 call where nothing was shared, and Juliana's story that she called too soon. So she might have freaked out after the first part and called 911 before he told her to. Because he probably was like, "What are you doing? Hang up the phone." And she probably hung up the phone. I don't know that that's exactly what was said, exactly what happened, but there is a 911 call that did not go through, and the jury will have that exact timeline. I would love to know exactly how much time between that first 911 call and the second one, because there are allegations that he staged it to look. He staged Joe Ryan to look a certain, probably like that there were things done to make it fit the narrative. And that's the allegations of the state. We will see what comes with that. The next part, so I was on Paul's show this morning. Hi. And I am going to share my screen and we are going to take a look at it. Oh, 11 minutes. Ooh, that's between the first 911 call and the second one. That would be super suspicious to me. Between if 11 minutes between the first 911 call and the second one, that's a lot of time. That is a lot of time. Oy. Okay. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Some Virginia courts tend to be more casual. Everybody dresses differently. I always dress up in a like a really nice suit. Like that's just how I show up to court. Everybody handles things different. If I knew it was televised, ooh, I would be super fly. Makeup done, not too much, just in case I like start. I don't know. Sometimes my eyes water when I'm stressed, and so let me go on ahead and share my screen so we can watch I was on Paul's show this morning. Ooh, okay. Dr. Barry, what's your opinion about lawyers laughing while court is in session, especially during this type of trial? So I think sometimes their job is difficult and they are human. And so sometimes judges have made jokes. Sometimes the court has just been really friendly. One of my favorites was Judge Everett and his snacks. Like Judge Everett was all about the snacks, and he would talk with the jury. He would make all of those statements. Also, some people can have a nervous laughter because when that lawyer laughed in that moment, it sounded like she was like, "Yes, we rest," and then she was like, "Hold on, let me check with my co-counsel." So I just saw like a little giggle right there. Like it didn't seem like she was taking it lightly or anything like that. There were times that I thought lawyers were slightly. I did not love. It was Crumbly, the mother, Ethan Crumbly's mom's lawyer. I was not a fan of her personally. So Ethan Crumbly, I think that case was out of Ohio. Y'all know me in places. It was Ohio or Michigan, one of those two. It was the school incident where the parents were charged and convicted. Mom's lawyer was just way too nonchalant, and I was not a fan of mom's lawyer. Just me personally. She started talking about her own kids and like weird. I don't know. Like that was weird. I wasn't a fan. All right. Let me go on ahead and share my screen. So like I said, I was on. Oh, okay. I'm going to keep answering y'all's questions. Please let me know if y'all have questions. And then as the video is going, if it's a question that's not related to the video, like about the case, I will just play this and I'll come on at the end. I'll save your questions as we're going. Are you considered an expert witness? Yes. In the state of Virginia, if you're a licensed psychologist, you can be entered as an expert witness. I have been entered as an expert in the fields of clinical psychology, child psychology, adult psychology, and then like so if I've already said clinical psychology, I think trauma. I think I might have been entered as an expert, but those are the ones that I know for sure. This was juvenile and relations court. I have testified in the lower court. I've also testified in circuit court. Thankfully, they've never needed any of my information at the higher court. So normally briefs, so the lawyers write responses that go to the Supreme Court. There's not testimony if anything is ever appealed to the Supreme Court. I used to work very closely with social services and involved with families that had social services involvement. And sometimes that would require my testimony, sometimes as a fact witness. So a fact witness just says what they saw, what they heard. A expert witness gets to give an opinion. Well, even though I can give an opinion, there are some things I can't give an opinion about. So if there's somebody that I didn't assess, so if I was the child's therapist, but I never did a parenting capacity, or I can talk about things I observed with the parent, but I'm not going to have like, I'm just careful about what opinions I have. I sometimes would label it, there are concerns I might have, but I can't give a strong, based on my knowledge and expertise, I do not believe this person should have like, so I don't give those strong opinions about things that I have not assessed. All right. So that is that. All right. Now let's go ahead and watch the show with Paul. That was fun. I have to share my screen. We are having a fun time with technology today. There we go. So I was a guest on his channel earlier this morning. Thank you all if y'all were able to join us. It's only like 40 minutes or so. All right. So it's not, so he streamed the live coverage today. I have a link to his channel and his information down in the description. Okay, let's take a look at this. Ooh, am I gonna speed it up? We'll see if I speed it up.
Dr. Berry, au pair trial. Do you want to give me some of your just off the top of your head thoughts and opinions, and we can kind of go from there?
Yes. I think the state might have been aware that Juliana, the au pair, wasn't going to be a great witness because they called her very early. Because it's my understanding they've set aside 4 weeks for this trial. So I think the state still has a bit of evidence. And then I do think the defense is going to present their case as well. Because I think there was a detective that had a different view. I think there was when in the opening, when the defense attorney said that the lead investigator wasn't on board with the catfish theory, I believe that's actually true. And so we'll see how that plays out. That the lead detective did think it was Christine. I personally do not think that it was Christine that was doing the FetLife email or that was doing that chatting back and forth because she didn't meet with anybody in person. There were a lot of red flags. Did not agree to meet up at a hotel. Only wanted this one specific thing that made it so that Brendan could come and look like he was doing self-defense, like he was this hero, this law enforcement agent that was rescuing her. Uh, I've also have a lot of thoughts because you said you were going to ask me about his behavior, and if I was on the jury and I saw his all his note taking, and Juliana is he tried to think of everything. Like he made sure that she was home when we communicated with the accounts. He made sure that blah blah, like he created a brand new account. He didn't want to do a hitman because he thought that could be traced back, and he's over here writing these copious notes. I would be just it wouldn't convict, that wouldn't be enough to say he's guilty, but it would just be a bit strange.
I'm glad you brought up the note taking thing because 100% was so curious to talk to you about that. And yeah, I feel like from a juror perspective, like if I was on the jury and watching that, it feels like not only like a nervous reaction, but she's describing all the things he plotted out, and it's like you're watching him do it at the table, because it's like, is he writing? Is he writing down things to counteract what she's saying, or to say, you know what I mean? Then they come up with that, well, that didn't happen, and this didn't happen. Also, your point about the catfish theory, and was it Christine, was it not, whatever. Yeah, for me, 100% don't believe it was her. And also, I feel like two things. Number one, just like you said, if it was really her, and she decided, oh, this is what I'm going to do, it was such an oddly unsafe situation that she was then seeking out to create. Now, if there was evidence of being like, oh, it's a known fact that Christine was on FetLife, this is what she did, this was her thing, they had an understanding, this would be a whole different case. This would be okay, well, wait a second, maybe the au pair did it. But it's like you're trying to tell us out of the blue, she just did this thing that was so incredibly unsafe. It did factor in kids in the house. 100% don't believe it. I know I don't personally know her, but no.
Juliana brought the daughter back.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Juliana had the child because why is Juliana just hanging out in the cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
Waiting for him to come so that she can call Christine and then call him while he waits in the bath. It might be a nice bath. I've never been to that. I don't think I've been to that specific bathroom. So I live in the general area where this occurred, and I wouldn't hang out in a McDonald's bathroom for 7 minutes unless but yeah, this that's but I think he was waiting for Juliana to call him.
100%. 100%. And on that note too, because we've been talking here at the Sofa Squad about, okay, take him and Brian Walsh, who any defendant, and the preparation. And I'm like, okay, as far as Brendan goes, really surprised at how in-depth his prep was. Windows, we have to do the computer, which he's in the house. It has to be this way, it has to be that way. And I'm like, okay, he was smart for a lot of it and did a lot of pre-planning. I was like, wow, this dude really was planning this. I also feel like this, and tell me what you think. Hey, Shayna, okay, I feel like this was a thought going on in his mind all along, and he's essentially waiting for the right circumstances to come to be, and almost like oh, here's Juliana, she's going to be the one to take the bait, I can get her to join in on me, or join me in on this situation. You see what I'm saying? I don't think that it was in his world well, I fell in love with Juliana and I never thought about taking my wife out. It was oh no, this was simmering, and finally all the right things came together. What are your thoughts on that?
And
train of thought.
the state tried to get I think Juliana kind of said that divorce wasn't an option for him and that he was concerned about finances and he didn't want to split custody. He didn't want to be a weekend or every other week. So Virginia is a big, if you don't have a prenup, it's 50-50. Like, and I don't know but I think if they had had a prenup or something, they probably would have talked about it, like in the Corey Richins case, because that makes it a bigger thing. And I think he was a little insecure that she made more than him
Oh, yeah,
and that she was going to be okay. Like if they divorced, because I wonder if it was also him not wanting her to move on with somebody else. Because Christine, if they got divorced and she healed and at some point she wanted to remarry, she could be happy again. So I wonder if that was not necessarily conscious, he was thinking about it, but some people um that would do this to somebody that they say they at some point loved. Like it's like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
you're moving on, let her move on too. But some people get stuck in that and
Mhm.
and that's where it can get dangerous.
And on that note right there that you said too, because like most of us can relate back to some situation of a relationship we've been in or we're in currently or whatever, right? And so when you sit here and think, or when I think for Christine, where the final moments of her life were all had to come forth, and she had this realization of probably all these little weird things added up. And then also number one, the fear of where's my kid? Like, oh my gosh, my husband's now killing me. Where's my daughter? But almost like that's why I saw him and Juliana this close, or that's why, because he had cheated on her with other people. And so then for that right there to be
Did
like,
that
this is the
come out?
father. Oh, go
Did,
ahead.
did
Sorry.
that come out that he had a history of affairs? Did
I've heard that from other people, but I don't know if we've heard it in the trial. But like I've heard from other people say that he slept with another au pair and that he had had like other indiscretions and whatever. But I do not believe that came out in trial. So that's sofa speculation at this point. If anybody has like a verified, drop it in the comments. But yeah, like to think of that realization of like, this is the person I married, this is the person I had children with, and they plotted that against me. And now I don't know if she was aware of the daughter, like calling Juliana mom and this, that, and the other. And obviously, after Christine was gone, completely unaware that Juliana just moves right on in the bedroom. And that's where I'm like, how on earth could they even sleep in that room? I know they changed the floor and did things of this nature, but I would be forever haunted by that imagery of the look on her face, the look on Joseph Ryan's face, et cetera, et cetera.
so that could hurt his self-defense theory. Like if this was such a random horrific thing, like would you be afraid that somebody else she had met on that website could come to the like it seemed the only time he's really shown a lot of emotion is during the 911 call. He doesn't come off to me like a grieving husband.
Correct. I agree.
Like as they're talking about things, as they're going through things, and he's like, he looks like an IRS agent. Like he looks like he's a part of the investigation team, and he's like,
Really.
and now if you're on trial for, like yes, you want to make sure that things are thorough, but I think it could backfire for him with the jury as the state continues to present their evidence, and then the defense will get their chance. I don't think he's going to testify.
I don't see him taking the stand either. I agree. He's not giving that vibe. He's not giving the vibe of hold my beer, I'll talk my way out of this. Like, and I'm not sure of, pardon me. Again, with all of them, I'm like, I don't know if he was just so confident of, well, I can get there and convince everybody that Juliana, did this, knowing she was going to take the stand. And maybe we can segue into that a little bit now, pardon me, of her time on the stand.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I guess knowing that evidence was going to come out, I'm not sure how you talk your way out of that or have a lawyer talk your way out of, unless you poke holes of she's not a reliable witness. But to me, you saw her like kind of, she does have a very kind of flat affect up there. This is this. We're going through it. Many people I've seen in the comments and stuff are like, she's evil, she's this. Other people are like, no, there's a barrier, a language barrier, or there's this or that. I think it's somewhere in between. I feel like some of the things that she kind of told on herself with was all the talks to Netflix and these places, and we deserve something for what we've gone through. That's a little disarming to me, where it's like, oh wow, here. But again, does that mean that she's lying about everything else? I'm like, no, she can feel like she earned money for the pain she's been through, but also be telling the truth as to what happened. I feel like she's minimizing some things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like well, I don't remember who got the computer. And I don't remember who did it.
So
I see.
I don't know that she was the detail person. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
like, because also they probably I don't know how many messages there are, but in that month time period, like there might have been multiple times that they had the computer according to the the state's presentation and what the state is thinking. Uh, and she was 20 and not so her age doesn't let her off or excuse her. It just makes me think about like she was 22. So if you showed me a text message that I sent a year and a half ago and was like, "Where were you when you sent this message?" I might have been in the kitchen. I might have been upstate. Like I don't know. Like I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly where I was. Now, I think what the defense is trying to say, like you're over here doing a crime, you should remember like where things are. She tried to bring up trauma, and that was, and it is possible. So it is possible that your brain can block out information, details that are distressing or troubling. And I think the defense's theory is that she created a version that fit the state's evidence because she had discovery for her trial. But I think this is just what happened. Now, I don't know that she got every detail correct. So because and I like how you said she tried to minimize her involvement. I do think she tried to be it was him. He told me what to say. And she might have been more involved with that part. I don't know. It reminds me of Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Frankie getting together because I don't think so. If I had met Jody Hildebrandt and she had recommended things like that to do to my child, I would be like, no, and you're fired. No. But she met up with somebody that was already a little willing to cross a line. Because I don't know that Juliana is as naive and innocent as she might have wanted to come off. And I think that's what the defense tried to bring out in her personality, that she's a little fiery, like she can be demanding. She has, I don't know, like to me, they tried to get at her credibility, but I do think the state has other evidence that's going to support their theory.
And Northwest makes a good point. Northwest says the electronics details / countermeasures were fed agent knowledge, not over skills. Yes. And yeah, and Dr. Barry, what you just said. And and I think that's true too. Yeah, if somebody was like, "Hey, Paul, what were you doing with this text message?" Whatever time, I don't know what I was doing 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? And that part of the trial where were you watching it live when he questioned her about every single text message over and over and
So
over?
I was about a few hours behind.
Okay.
So I was able to skip through breaks a little. So I was maybe, but it was the same day. And that it was so painful when he started with the letters because some of it I didn't know where he was going. And I was just like, is this helping? Like she was just talking about random things, but he did weave it together. And I think he was trying to tire her out a little too, because he got repetitive and he was trying to frustrate her. Because when she took off her glasses, those, she, I was
Seriously. I'm sure also one thing too, like, and they're really the only angle, well, one of the only angles is almost like that. And that's very symbolic of we want her mask to fall off on the stand, and probably what's his name, Brendan, is like, don't let that controlled narrative fool you. She's fiery. She's got some sass. She's got this. I can imagine her being a little more giddy in the moments of, okay, get the computer. Oh, type this. Oh, do that, and not so the way she was on the stand.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And the way that so if you go back to the 911, or I'm sorry, the body cam footage after the crime happened, and they go outside and she's like, I'm sorry, I've never seen something like this. He made me shoot the guy. Like she first of all tells him what's his name right away. But then like that whole act that she's putting on, and I understand there would be adrenaline, even though you've just committed this crime and all that, you're still gonna have adrenaline. But she was trying to narrate that adrenaline into, we just stumbled upon this. And so to me, I felt like it was a good measurement of looking at her actively lying, actively spinning a story. This is what just happened that we know now is completely false.
And I do think that Brendan was more, I hate to be, but like he just seems like he was unaffected because he was
Mhm.
able to stay calm during the 911 call. I think he was planning because you ask how could they go back into the master. He moved his mom and his grandma. Was it mom and grandma into the house? I think
Oh
like
yeah, that's
his
right.
and so now real estate and because I think it was a nice home and housing prices can be expensive. Uh, I can never get over the fact that his mom initially was paying for her attorney.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that right there when they brought that on the stand, I was like, oh honey, send him off to the guy. Like he's done.
I had to pause it. I had to make myself big. I was just like, because as I watch, I'm pausing and giving some commentary along the way. And for people that watch on replay, because people have watched on your stream or they've watched on other streams. So I try, like, if someone's going to fast forward, if I make myself big, then I'm saying something. And if I'm small, then
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
I go back and forth between
I had to
those.
make myself big.
I needed them to see like my full, because the little square you can't always, I need y'all. Excuse me. His mother paid for, because it kind of made sense, and I respect that attorney for staying with her even when he stopped getting paid.
Mhm.
Now he'd probably already been paid a lot. Like, it had been a year, but like
Yeah, literally.
he had probably received more payment than he would have received if he was like a public defender. But the fact that he didn't drop her when she was going to do the deal, because also her doing the deal makes his job like, it's just he just meets for those meetings. He's there in court. He's there for any court prep. But if she had a trial, that was going to be a lot longer. But um, a defendant complaining about their lawyer to like their family in letters, but I think the defense is trying to weave this narrative of she was so unhappy, she was so sad, she was so overwhelmed with being in jail, she would say anything for her freedom. Like, I think that's what they're trying to plant in the jury's mind, but
Mhm.
I can't get over the Fet life. Like, I can't get over that part. Um,
Yeah,
because
all.
I don't think it was Christine.
Mhm. No, and a couple of things I'm gonna throw out there real quick. First of all, Northwest says he's trained to remain calm in shooting situations, and yes, his training as a federal or FBI or what am I trying to say, IRS agent, is probably part of his downfall with this because he does have. I think he's the type person that just kind of is like a bland cup of water to begin with. Like there's just doesn't seem to be much whatever. And then the training that whatever he has, yeah, he seems like an investigative guy. He seems like whatever. And so this flatness that he has over there, him pretending to cry, it's like, why do we always have to have the, yeah, I think I added that to our list for the end of the year thing, the best of theatrics of fake crying or whatever, and I put his name in there because I'm like, oh, okay, we're checking off the bingo card. We've got fake tears from the table. The well, let me say this first. The next thing I saw was North Carolina nurse asked how you and I first connected, and so that's a great question. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Berry, but you would come in the chat rooms and say, hey, and then I would check your channel out, and I think it just naturally progressed, and it was like, hey, let's collab, and then we did, and it just, here we are today.
I think DMs on Instagram,
Yes, yes.
and I might have reached out first. And sometimes the mods let me know because that's how. Because sometimes the mod is like, hey, make sure to reach out. He would love to have you, or something like that. Or I forget if that's how it happened in this case, or I was just in the chat and you were like, hey, DM me, and we we made it happen. So
There we are. Yes. So, and I'm very thankful for it. Thirdly, because we're not going to have the way we talk backstage or whatever, I'm going to hit you up on Instagram later. If you want to talk about the Ohio Tefe case on a live chat or whatever, because some of the stuff we've talked here, I'm like, oh, I want to ask her about that.
Mhm.
That would be an amazing thing. So I'll hit you up later and we can figure that out.
Yes.
Okay. So back to the mom.
And if we end up with all that snow, I will have a lot more time.
Marathon live chat session. I'm scared. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to have if the power will go here in this place. Like I've never been in this place with snow. I'm assuming because it's in town, it shouldn't be whatever. So I'm like, as long as the power stays on, let's get snowed in for the weekend. Let's go for it. It's a rare thing to happen here. Yeah, when we found out that the mother was, let's just call it paying off Juliana to keep her quiet. To me, my flood of thoughts was, I was like, oh, so she hated Christine too. First of all,
So the way I saw it is that the mother might think her son is truly innocent. And by Juliana not having a good attorney, they might have been afraid. She probably would have flipped sooner if she had a public defender.
okay,
If
yeah,
they
yeah,
weren't supporting her, if he
yeah.
left her out to dry and wasn't putting money on her books, because she seems transactional. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Mhm.
And so I think she likely would have been open to a deal because the state started with misdemeanors.
And she turned it down.
She at least pled guilty to manslaughter. Like,
When she said that, the misdemeanors, I was like, what? I understand nobody wants to sign off and go to prison. Like they want the best thing. I get that. But I'm just like, you could have got a misdemeanor.
so I think that's how confident she was in their plan.
Gotcha. Okay.
That the state wasn't. I think she initially wanted a trial, and then I think her attorney sat her like when he got arrested, and she's like, "Oh wait, they have enough to arrest him too,"
Yeah.
because I think they arrested her. I think she was kind of an easier
Mhm.
target in the whole situation. Not target, but I think they had more probable cause of why did she fire a weapon and what was her role in all of this. But this is a mess. But them getting new phones, all of those things are super suspicious.
and then moving into the bedroom before the investigation's truly over and having pictures and stuff. In my mind, I'm like, when they show up, do they not think to go Juliana the master bedroom at minimum with the picture frames? Like, why on earth would you do that?
I think they were just that confident.
Yeah, that has to be the answer. Has to be. It's crazy to me. Now you said something a second ago that made me want to say another thing about, okay, so when the cops get there, and obviously it's chaos, it's this, they're piecing, so we got kids over here crying, we got dogs, we got Juliana, and she's telling the story. I don't know, there's this guy, and then you also hear, what's his name, Brendan on the body cam audio. I don't know who this is. This is my wife. This is my house. It's an odd story to just initially walk into and be like, what's going on? And then when you start piecing it together to lead up to her getting arrested first, him staying out, and her saying, well, he made me shoot the guy again. In my mind, I'm wondering, we're right off the bat, the investigator's like, something's weird with this. This doesn't even make sense. This dude comes in, the pair comes back, he's right down the road. Like, something's not jiving, but they can't truly put their finger on it. Because they had to have then gone back to Joseph Ryan, like, well, where did this man come from? Here's his ID. Let's go back to his house. Like, what's up with him? How did they even meet? Like, what? How did this happen? Because I'm sure when they went back to Joe, did he live like it with his mom or in the basement or something like that?
And his mother gave an interview just because he's been portrayed pretty negatively. And to me, it's okay if somebody is in to consensual things, but like there should be safety words. There should be, and so there were red flags with this of like, I don't need a safety word, even if I'm saying like there were certain red flags. And so I hope that people can learn something from the situation, because there were other people I think that were true, like that were in that community and understood that like, wait a minute, we don't meet for the first time, me breaking into your house or me walking into your house. like that's not a first time for this type of play. And then Brendan was kind of smart but dumb he was smart to have Joe bring everything, because he's not in the murder aisle buying the knife, the rope. Like you don't have that image of him purchasing all of those things. My heart really goes out to um uh to that family, because like I think they found somebody that was gonna go along with whatever they said. Um and they took advantage of that, in my just personal thoughts and opinion.
I agree, and I like that they brought out in the evidence showing other conversations with people maybe more versed in that world, who were like, "No, I want to meet you first," or "No, I'm not doing like," because that was the whole thing where the majority of people I see, yeah, it's like, look, if you're two consenting adults and everything's safe and you do you, boo, like great. But this had so many red flags, and one thing I see people saying about Joseph Ryan is like, okay, well, was he just into that or was he naive? Like, I would be curious to know, did he just sign up on FetLife last week? I'm saying, like, how did he arrive there
And
in
I
that
feel
moment?
so Christine was pretty. Do you know what I mean? And like, and so I wonder if he just thought, and he talked to her on the phone, but then the red flag, the voice doesn't.
Yeah.
Some people might have thought, "Am I racist?" To be like, "You don't look like." So I don't know if um there were definitely red flags in this situation, and that's why I like bringing those things up, so that hopefully people can be safe. Because this was just the elaborate scheme. And that's where I wonder if the defense is hoping that the jury doesn't get on board. Like, that's just like, who would do that? But this like super obsessive, I don't know that he's obsessive, those are my personal words. This like obsessive IRS investigator, would he think of all the things and try to plan this like perfect crime, so that he didn't have to pay child support and alimony, didn't have to split the house and all those things, which is just sad. Like just get divorced. Like if you want to move on with the nanny, like, and then I've also saw questions of, did Christine know? And we haven't seen evidence. Like we don't know what she knew and what she didn't know. And then also, like, I hate to be rude, but like I don't know how great their relationship was.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't, and and some people stay together for the kid, which I don't think is healthy, but some people, unfortunately, they're like they tolerate a little something just because it's like, I'm gonna wait until my child is a little bit older, which is sad. But yeah, do you get what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I question too, because and some of this is like a mixture of reading comments and then
Yeah.
just the story, all that. So I can't say, like, I'll just say this is sort of a speculation.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a known thing of like, yeah, the relationship, and so with Brendan and Christine wasn't the greatest standing.
Yeah.
But like you said, and it's like you're doing life. They're both working. They have a kid. They have this. So it's like you just get into your rut. You know what I mean? And like you can just sometimes remain in that rut. And so yeah, I would love to know what it looked like in the house just, and I'm thinking of a scene of like the three of them are happen to be together in the kitchen making breakfast, and she's getting ready for, or she's coming in from work, he's getting ready to leave. What was the energy and dynamic like between the three of them when they were operating, doing all this kind of stuff? Now, also today, what's getting ready to happen is the who is it? The state, I'm sorry, they have, I believe, two more witnesses that are going to come up today and go through their stuff. Now, if memory serves, the state was basically like maybe an hour for each, like it's not that serious. What we've seen from the defense is that he's kind of like, never mind. He might ask a question or two, and he's kind of done with them. He's not asking questions to some people that I was shocked he didn't have them on the stand, just going over and over and over. I felt like he saved all his energy up for that au pair, and the rest of it was like, let's just check a couple of boxes off and send them on their way. Um,
And
so
and it could kind of hurt the state if he does have that lead detective that was not on board, that Christine, or that didn't think Brendan and Juliana did the FedLife account. If he has that, that might be what he's kind of, going to focus on down the road.
that could be his little
I think his
brother.
theory is that the state has these holes, and that once they set their sights on, Juliana and Brendan, they didn't consider other options. Like, I think that's what he's trying to do. There have been other cases where I was on board with that, where I was like, yeah, like Karen Reed case, I was like, there's some, like, this is suspicious, this is weird. This case, I personally don't see it. And if the lead investigator, if he's not a electronics expert, because if my husband gets on my computer, it'll look like I did the thing, as like if I'm home, because they check, okay, where was her phone, blah blah blah, because it sounded like they had the phone and computer. They would try to have it together. Um,
Which
it's
is smart on their part.
it was
Because
smart.
usually, I mean, you see these things, we have Brian Walsh doing a 20-point turn and an empty parking lot on camera, you know, all the way to,
Just a park, like he was just put it back into a park.
mind you, they're closed for the day. Free parking lot, completely open. And then you have Brenda Banfield replacing the windows months before or whatever to get soundproof windows so the neighbors can't hear. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing. If the defense gets up and has some guy get up there who's just like some bombshell, I'm talking
Yeah.
bombshell evidence. I'm talking like, whoa, I can see some doubt. Because I guess two things you have to look at is almost like for the jury, they would have to look at what does the evidence say? We have blood splatter here, we have this gun here, we have this here. And then what does Juliana say? So could she be lying?
Yeah.
And then the evidence be telling the truth?
Yeah.
It's a far-fetched story, and what weighs out. And yeah, for me right now, what Juliana's saying completely weighs out. I'm just like, I believe that, right? And the evidence to me lines up with what she's saying.
Mhm.
Again, shy of a little bit of minimization, a little bit of I don't remember, which again to me, that made her more believable because we know she has a sweet deal. Even if she does 10 years, she goes back to Brazil and she's good and she's going to tell her story.
And with our current immigration, like once you're convicted of a crime, if you're not, like she would be deported anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and so I think that's why the state didn't really fight it that much, because with her being convicted of manslaughter, I do hope that they restrict her ability to profit from this crime,
Mhm.
because they can make it a condition of her probation. Natalie Lawyer Chick did a video, I think last night, or it was recent, covering this case, where she talked about Virginia has a law. It's kind of like that Son of Sam, or what that, I mean, not Son of, whatever, like those laws that just say that you can't profit from the crime. But if she's in Brazil, who's going to enforce it? But if you can hold that time over her head or something, where it's like, hey, if we find out that you did, I'm not a lawyer, but I've just thought about also if the family could like sue, where there's a judgment where, hey, if she does have where if she does try to get a deal from Netflix or somebody, because the defense was saying names, because I think they entered a picture of the Kate lady. Like I think there was a picture of her entered into evidence. Josh, I think it was Josh. They didn't have, I don't think even, yeah, they did say his last name, but they went into all of those messages. It is common for journalists to put money so that the person can contact them.
Mhm. Mhm. That
I
makes sense.
I wouldn't, because I'm not that type of streamer. I don't want to Juliana. Like, no, like I was
Right. It's like, what do you say? It's so awkward. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know,
I don't
because
want to talk to Sarah Boone or any. No, I'm not. No.
God, I'd be so nervous. As much as I've talked about Sarah Boone, I would be speechless if she was on the. I'd be like, I wouldn't know what to say. I mean, I would just be like, right? It's no, absolutely not. So it's about the time we talked about where you got to get run into you go click over here or whatever. So again, for those who are joining and are unfamiliar, Dr. Barry, she is amazing. Check her channel out. And she's on here all the time. She does all her wonderful stuff on her channel as well. Thank you again for getting up earlier than you needed to and doing stuff or whatever you got going to come join the sofa and for your insight. And like I said, I'll be hitting you up later today to talk to you about maybe doing something about the Ohio case because I'd love to pick your brain about that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You all have a good one. I'll see you. All right. So I'm glad that we were able to watch that together. I thought I mentioned on that one, and I just didn't hear it. Maybe it went too fast, but I mentioned that this case reminds me of Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Frankie, that there were two people that were willing to do the thing and they connected. Because if I had met Jody Hildebrandt and she told me to like restrict, I don't know, like if she was trying to do harmful things to my child, I would be like, no, and she'd be fired. I'd be reporting her and all of those things. She teamed up with somebody that didn't see it as a problem and that maybe already kind of had some darkness, they were willing to do certain things. And so I don't think Juliana was completely innocent in all of this. And unfortunately, the two of them got together, and my heart truly breaks for the family. Somebody asked a great question to talk about the impact of trauma on the daughter. So that is where EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, might be a really good type of therapy or treatment. I'm glad that she did not come in to have to testify about anything, because they might have tried to get a forensic interview with her or something. I'm glad that she stayed in the basement. Okay, so one of the biggest things, because I don't think she was just in the basement as they went upstairs. So that's the allegation. While they were upstairs for maybe 15, 20, however long, and all the things happened. And she might have memories of a really big incident and mommy getting hurt really bad. She might have memories of Juliana, the other person that was taking care of me. And then all of a sudden, Juliana disappears. And so somebody asked about like the state mandating therapy. So I do not believe that the child is in state custody. Did I say Julie? I hope because I try not to say the child's name. And during the court process, they have said her name multiple times. So hopefully, as I've been talking, if I mentioned a name, I meant the child because I might have accidentally said somebody else. But with this case, I do hope that the child in this case, so if the father gets those child harm charges, the state could work towards terminating his parental rights. So even an incarcerated person still has parental rights. And because there might be something the judge might decide, and I don't know what will happen. If he was convicted and found guilty of this, the judge could say no contact with her until she's 18 years old. And like her ability, if she ever wanted to contact, or the judge might do something, some type of protective order. In Virginia, they often try to keep custody with a family member if at all possible. And I've seen speculation of where the child might be. I don't know for sure. I hadn't heard Christine's family talk, and they might have not been able to talk because they were subpoenaed for this case, and they were really careful. So Joe Ryan's mother was not involved in the trial at all. That might have been why she was able to speak to the media before the trial. Christine's family might have decided not to, because I searched, I tried to find any potential interviews or any statements by her family. And with my general, search, I wasn't able to find anything. Welcome, John. Everybody is welcome here. I also do hope that So there will be certain things that you wouldn't tell. So I think the child involved in this case, she might be about 7 years old now, and I have an 8-year-old. And if my child was in the home for a major event, I would check in with him to be like, "Hey, did you hear about that thing? What do you remember? How are you doing?" I might have an outpatient therapist check in with him. And if there were certain things that were troubling him, that he would do some type of treatment or therapy with it. What the child is probably dealing with the most is that mommy and daddy aren't available. So the grief related to the loss of her mother, and then not having access to her father. I don't know if she knows the truth that her father is in jail. So I've worked with children before where they were told that their parent was like on a business trip, or that they were studying, or that they were in college. The child was pretty much, and I don't believe you should lie to children. So I think children should know that, now they don't need all the details, but I don't believe that children should be lied to, because that often creates more problems, especially with whoever. Because let's say it was a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle that told them the false story, it can break that trust with that individual. And so we will see. Um, uh, I really hope that the jury is following things. We will see what the defense presents. So the defense, it might be, they could rest tomorrow. It might go into Thursday. We will see what happens. If we have a verdict by Friday, and I don't know if we will, the jury might need some time. And then please be prepared. Virginia, we do not do snow. So the western parts of Virginia, so more in the mountains, but like Fairfax, Northern Virginia, no. If we get more than like this much snow, everything closes. Courts will be closed. So if we do end up getting like a foot of snow on Monday, court will most likely be closed. There's no court Friday. Okay. So we'll see what happens, but then just if we get a whole bunch of snow, court might not be in session until like Wednesday, or yeah, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see. VDOT, that's our Virginia Transportation Department. I don't know, probably stands for something different, but they clear our roads. I'm really appreciative to them. I got stuck behind a salting truck, because they had police officers completely stop, because people do unsafe things on the highway. And so I think they had like 2 or 3 trucks putting out salt. And then they had police officers where traffic on Interstate 95 was like 25 miles per hour. Like it was that if I ever get stuck like that again, I will get off and go to work an alternate way. But Georgia is pretty bad. I lived in Georgia for about 5 years as a child, so not as an adult. But yeah, the further south you go, sometimes the more difficult people get with snow. And then if you go to like Chicago, Michigan, they get a foot of snow and like they might have a 2-hour delay. I'm making stuff up. I'm not from Chicago. And so thank you all so much for being here. I will be live again on Saturday. If we have a verdict, I'll schedule something for earlier in the day. If there is no verdict, unless there's something major that happens. If he testifies, watch for your notifications. I will be going live at some point when I have a moment to cover it. I don't think he's going to testify. I honestly don't. He reminds me of like the Brian Walsh who but Brian Walsh made it sound like he was going to testify and then decided not to. I don't even think Brendan has even given the indication that he was going to testify. And so we will see. Thank you all again. I will see you all later this week. Have a good one. Bye.